Yes, good day, classy. Thank you once again. We are still on Metric Hub. We are still tuning on to Term 3 working. We want to talk about macroeconomics. Macroeconomics. We want to talk about macroeconomics. And I'm sure it's one of those interesting concepts also under economics or within economics grade 11. So we are going just to do some quick revision under macroeconomics, and then at least we get ourselves ready for every other exams that are coming, both end of this term and also end of the year at grade 12. First question reads, uh, name any two participants in the circular flow model. In a circular flow model, name two participants. Name two participants of the circular flow model. So also, one thing that I want you to look at is we have got a circular flow model that is open. Open, it means it has got a foreign market. You must understand that an open one has got a foreign, it has got a foreign sector. And then that is one. We also have two, we can say that it is what? It is closed. If it is closed, it means a closed one. It means there is no foreign sector there. There's no foreign sector. If you are saying a closed and an open, these are two types of circular flow models. So one other thing that I want you to take note of is that when we are looking at an open one, an open economy or an open flow of circular flow model, it has got four participants. It has got four participants as an open one. And then a closed one, it has got three. I'm going to show you now. So now, if you look at these, if you look at them, what we are saying is that if you look at these ones, what we are saying is households, it is found obviously in both the business sector, we found it both the government, we found there. So if we are going to look at it in these three, they can make up a closed circular flow model. And then if you are going to say that it is an open circular flow model, it has got all the what it has got all the what all the four participants. We say that it has got all the four participants, which includes the what the four. It has got the four participants. This one we say it has got three, which we are seeing that it is household, it is business sector, it is the government. They form the closed circular flow model. And then with the fourth one, the foreign sector, it also forms or it comes to complete the what? It comes to complete the open circular flow model, which has got the importation and exportation forming the foreign sector. That's one thing that you need to take note of. And then, why does public sector failure lead to social instability? Government failure, we talk about the responsibilities in government roles. There are various responsibilities that the government undertake. We talk about basic services that are there. We talk about the government existing as, in various institutions and parastatals that it has to serve its public. So if it fails, it leads to social instability. It leads into problems that are within our communities and our societies. So lives of people are destabilized. Lives of people are destabilized and their human rights are compromised. They are compromised because sometimes government is failing to meet up with the expectations or the roles that it has to fulfill. The community becomes disgruntled and start making their demands through protesting. Protesting would also result in vandalism. It results in sometimes it might also result in strike. I mean in people getting injured. It results in destruction or destroying of infrastructure. Quite a lot of problems that would arise, which at the end of the day will cause social instability, like students cannot go to school. We can talk about inaccessibility of social services. Quite a lot of them, people cannot be able to access them. Therefore, it's an instability that is caused by government public sector failure. And then briefly describe the term gross value added. This is the value added on goods at every stage of production process. Value addition, we look in the production process or in terms of manufacturing or in terms of the distribution chain. We have got our goods, we have got our raw materials. We have got raw materials which are taken from our natural resources, for instance. So therefore, we are saying raw materials are manufactured. When they are manufactured, they are value added. Manufacturing results in what? In value addition. Value addition from manufacturing, we can also talk about also even packaging. Packaging can also have value addition. We can talk about labeling, we can talk about branding, all those various activities that are done in the production chain. They are there to add value, they are there to increase the value of a product. So now, value addition, it is actually added on goods at every stage of production process in order for them to look better, in order for them to sell better, in order for them to make more money, in order for them to enter even in foreign competitive markets. Value addition is done for various reasons. You understand? And then how are basic prices converted to market prices? Basic prices, how are they converted to market prices? So the taxes on products are added, taxes on products are added to, and subsidies on products are subtracted at basic, are subtracted from gross domestic product at basic prices to get the gross domestic price product at market prices. So uh, what we need to understand is that at basic prices plus taxes on products minus subsidies on products, we get GDP at market prices. So what we need to know is that there is a basic formula that we are looking at here, that taxes on products are added to, and also subsidies on products are subtracted to. Subsidies, remember we said these are government payments that are done or that are given by the government itself to various companies. So therefore we are saying they are subtracted from gross domestic product. And then because it is money that government is already given at basic prices to get the gross to get our gross domestic product at market prices or at basic prices. So therefore, we also plus taxes on products. Taxes on products are also finances that the businesses are incurring. And then we minus subsidies on products. Subsidies on products, therefore we get our gross domestic product at market price. Why would economists prefer constant prices to current prices when measuring economic growth? Economists, they prefer constant prices to current prices when measuring economic growth. So constant prices are adjusted to exclude the effects of inflation. Constant prices are adjusted to exclude the effects of inflation, whereas current prices are not adjusted. That is one first point. Current prices are not adjusted. Constant prices provide a true reflection on actual changes in production. Actual changes in production are actually shown. They are actually shown of goods and services, whereas current prices gives a distorted reflection. Current price gives a biased. They give a biased. They give a biased reflection, and then current prices give a distorted indication of the actual growth of the economy. They give a distorted indication of the actual growth of the economy. We are not able to depend and we are not able to have a greener light in terms of the actual growth of the economy based on current prices. And then measuring economic growth using constant prices provides accurate data. It provides accurate data to policymakers so therefore they can make important informed decisions. Constant prices help to make accurate comparison of economic performance from year to year. We are saying we can make a comparative analysis based on specific benchmarks, based on previous statistical information that can be calculated from year to year. And then name the government department responsible for the formulation and implementation of fiscal policy. The financial or fiscal policy is actually a policy document that is actually handled by the Department of Finance. Department of Finance is the one that formulates and implements the fiscal policy. That's one thing that we need to take note of. Briefly describe the term medium-term expenditure framework. We are looking at what? At budgeting. It shows government's income and expenditure estimates for a what? For a period of 3 years. For a 3-year period. That is what we mean by medium-term expenditure framework. It actually identifies government income and expenditure estimates or budgets that are taking place or stretching over a period of what? Of 3 years. Uh, why is there a need for government to spend more on social development? Why must the government spend more on social development? We said on what? On changes the lives of people. Lives of what? Of people. Why must government spend more on changing the lives of people? We are talking about development of what? Development communities. Why should the government spend more on that? One, a significant of number of South African population are still living in poverty. We still have a number of our people who are still living in poverty. Therefore, the government should allocate more resources to improve their standards of living. Government still need to support them in order to improve their standards of living. The unemployment figure is the highest in the world due to low levels of skills. Our skills are lower and they therefore decrease the gross domestic product and lack of investment results in what? In high unemployment rates and the dependence rate on government. So social development must still be supported because we are talking about our people not having skills. We are talking about lack of investment. We are talking about high unemployment, which actually results in high dependence rate on government. People need to be supported by government in order for them to survive. This therefore compels or forces, it therefore ensures that the government it forces the government to increase spending on activities that improve the lives of people. We talk about various activities, public works programs where people are getting employed or getting employment opportunities within their regions and their places. Many people lost their jobs and resources of income due to COVID-19 within this context and would therefore need survival through government grants. Companies closed. Companies suffered financial losses, which resulted in them closing. Hence, the government has to support them in order for them to survive. We have got our next question saying, how can income, how can income tax bracket influence taxpayers? This also, if you go forward, it is also we can also talk about it under an analytical tool called the Laffer curve. The Laffer curve. It's a graphical analysis of the influence of the taxing brackets versus the compliance in tax payment. So now how does that income tax bracket influence taxpayers? Taxpayers. I'm gonna bring it to you in the next presentation, where we talk about that. It actually explains the relationship in terms of an increase in tax bracket versus the amount of money that the government would put in. I mean, the government would take, which at the end of the day, sometimes would result in taxpayers' resentment and also tax invasion and reducing the total income the government is making. So an increase in income can push taxpayers into higher tax brackets. That is true. We say pay as you earn. If tax brackets remain the same, resulting in higher taxes, and then we talk about basket creep. So what we are saying is that the taxpayers do not receive the full benefits of an increase in their wages. Wages increased, it means that there is also an increase in taxing bracket. So taxpayers, they are not receiving the full benefits of their increase in what in tax in their of their increase in what in payments. And therefore also we talk about an increase in income will not shift households to higher tax brackets if the tax bracket increases, thus preventing basket creep. Tax relief will be provided to workers as their existing salary may fall in lower tax bracket. I'm sure that we know very well that we have got a tax bracket, we have got a taxing system which exempt other people getting less salaries from receiving taxing. Government does not tax them. So the tax relief will be provided to workers who are, as their taxing salary may not fall within a lower tax bracket, and therefore their disposable income can increase, allowing them to spend more on goods and services. Obviously, when tax bracket increases and people are within that tax bracket, it means their disposable income is also diminished, is also reduced, because some of the money he has to go to pay for what? For that taxing, it is taken by the government and then also eating away from whatever that they were having. So we have got we have to use a label diagram, and therefore we have to explain the multiplier concept. An increase in spending resulting in a disproportionate increase in returns. So now what happens is that the multiplier effect, it is just a concept of saying an investment results in significantly uh, more higher returns than normal. So what we need to understand is that we have got our multiplier effect, we have got the expenditure on the vertical axis, we have got the expenditure on the vertical axis, and then we have got our income on horizontal axis there. So now what we need to look at is that we have got our income our expenditure is equal to income, which is given there, and then we have got one, we need to label the axis, which I said that we get a mark for labeling that. Also labeling of the axis of the other axis, it's also another mark. And then shift of the consumption function, which is one mark. And then we are saying expenditure is equal to income is also one mark. And then we have those marks. So what we need to look at is that we have got our Laffer curve being explained to say that we have got an increase in expenditure resulting in significant increase in income. So let me just quickly give the explanation without wasting any time. So the multiplier effect occurs when a small increase in spending, we said a small increase in spending leads to a proportionately larger increase in national income. A small amount of money that the government spends, it results in a proportionately larger increase in national income. Whoever it can be it can be at a company level, it can be at an individual level, it can be at a corporate level. So at any income of Y, the expenditure curve intersects with the vertical axis at AE. at any income of y, the expenditure curve intersects with the vertical axis at AE. At any income at an income of expenditure of y, we are saying at an income of y, the expenditure curve intersects the vertical axis at AE, which we are saying that at an income of y, the vertical curve intersects the at AE, which we are seeing we have got our AE there, and then what happens is again that an increase from AE to AE1 means more income is injected into the economy. An increase from AE to AE1 means more income is injected into the economy. This causes a proportionate large increase in income from Y to Y1. An increase in expenditure, which we are seeing AE to AE1, we are saying it also results in a proportionately large increase in income. As you can see, therefore, that we are saying our income, it increases, which is resulting in a what? In a proportionately large income into the economy. So in other words, we are saying from AE to AE1, more money is injected into the economy, and this causes a proportionately large increase in income from Y to Y1. So income, as we have seen that our axes are labeled in that regard, we are saying an increase. What happens is that we are saying wherever it cuts wherever it cuts y, so we have to look down and find out that that is what, that is the income that is made. So we are saying an increase in of expenditure from AE to AE1, and then it also, we have got our initial income at y, and then that is our initial income at y. So if it increases to AE1, we are going to move, and then we are also going to move to E1, which is our what, our expenditure. So now what happens is that we are going to find our what, our income as what, as y1. Y1 indicate an increase of income from, we are saying income increased, it increased from y to what, to y1. That is what that is what we are talking about. So that is what we are talking about in this case. That is what this diagram has to explain, to say that we have got expenditure on vertical axis, income on our horizontal axis, and then we have got our income and expenditure line, and then we have got also changes that would happen if income, if expenditure increases. It results also into this AE going to AE1. It is demonstrating that increase. It is showing this marked increase to say that we have got an increase of expenditure moving from AE to AE1. And then what does it do? It results also in a proportionate increase in what? In income, which we are seeing our Y1 there. And then how can changes in terms of trade influence the South African economy? Changes in trade, how can changes in terms of trade influence the South African economy? How can changes in terms of trade, changes in terms of trade, how does it affect South African economy? So an improvement in terms of trade comes as a result of an increase in export prices or a decrease in import prices. So what we are saying is that we are talking about a favorable trade. This is a favorable trade scenario that we are talking about. So how do we have a favorable one? It means therefore there should be a benefit. There must be of more income, which we must have. We are saying it comes as a result of an increase in exports. Export prices must increase, which means to say the country is benefiting, South Africa is benefiting if prices increases, or else it can also be as a result of a decrease in what in what in import prices, because at the end of the day we want a positive balance of we want a positive balance of payment or a positive terms of trade. So an increase in export prices would increase economic welfare in a short term, as more revenue is earned with the same or less expenditure on imports. It actually increases the economic welfare, because in a short term we have got what? We have got more revenue that is earned, and then a decrease in import prices would result in less expenditure. Decrease in import, it results in less expenditure or less payments on imports in the short term. I'm sure we are making sense in following each other, that when import prices decreases, South Africa is going to spend less on paying on goods that are coming into South Africa that they are buying from other countries. And then at the end of the day, we are saying less payments on imports can only be otherwise happening on a short term. And then higher exports earnings and lower import payments may reduce balance of payment deficit in the short term. Higher earnings, higher export earnings. Export earnings, we are talking about the monies that the government, South Africa, is making from the sale of its exports, and lower imports payments. It may reduce balance of payments deficit. Balance of payment deficit is corrected in a short term. So less resources will be used to produce export to pay for imports. Therefore, it's a benefit. And we are saying less resources will be used to produce what to produce exports for import, to produce exports to pay for imports. We are producing to sell outside, but we use less, so therefore it's a benefit again. Demand for South African exports may decrease in the long run due to higher prices. I think this is just an economic concept. This is an economic concept that we need to understand. This is an economic concept to say a further or a constant increase in demand will result in it may result in a decrease in the sale of a product, because the price will also increase as a result of an increase in demand. Demand increases results also in increase in prices. At the end of the day, there is going to be a downturn on demand, because when prices keeps on soaring up or keeps on increasing, commodities end up being unaffordable to people, and therefore demand decreases. So a decrease in terms of trade comes as a result of a decrease in exports and or an increase in import prices. So class, this is a basic mechanism or a basic demand mechanism being explained in this regard. So a decrease in export prices will decrease a decrease in export prices would decrease economic welfare in short term, and less revenue is earned with the same less expenditure on imports. We are saying that we are having the opposite of the scenario whereby when export prices decreases, the welfare of the people also decreases, because there's less income earned there. Because we are saying less income is earned there because of our what? Because of the same expenditure on imports. So an increase in imports prices would result in more exports. An increase in import prices will result in more exports. An increase in import prices will result in more expenditure or more payments on imports in the short term. Why is it on the short term? Because we are saying there is a prohibitive or there is a tendency of failure of mechanisms or of businesses to sustain expensive imports. They would otherwise have to withdraw importing those products. So lower export earnings and higher import payments may increase the balance of payments deficit in the short term. So basically, this is what we have discussed already in its simplest term. More resources will be used to produce exports to pay for imports. And then demand for South African exports may increase in the long run due to lower prices. We have got an alternative also to that, which can also say that an increase in exports will encourage development of countries' international its industrial capacity. A country's industrial capacity can also be encouraged by an increase in exports. So we also want to know that more foreign exchange will be earned to pay for imports